Hearing of the U.S. Senate Subcommittee for Food and Nutrition, Specialty Crops, Organics, and Research to order. We're here to talk about an important free school lunch. It should be just simple. School lunch should always be free and definitely free of judgment. Honestly, it shouldn't be a conversation. It would be like asking the kids to pay for the school bus every morning or to pay for their own textbooks at school. Of course, that's absurd, but lunch is critical, just like how they get there and the kinds of books that they use. And of course, obviously, a full stomach is critical for our children to learn. This tray of food right here that we've brought there, excuse me, I'm sorry. This is the kind of food that could be served in the USDA's National School Lunch Program. Now, of course, this is a chicken salad, an apple, and other things. And I know some people that thought that's controversial, but even chocolate milk. So something. And this is just a fine example of what it could be. And behind me and next to me, our chairwoman, are Commonwealth on there as well. But that's not what we're here about, splitting hairs, dollars and cents over kids' health and education. This is as basic and fundamental as it gets, and guaranteeing a meal to students should be part of the should mean to fewer hungry kids, and research shows that it could bring down the cost for our schools. And right now, there's already a lot of solutions already out there. The universal school free meals to all students. I support bills that expand the community eligibility provision, which allows some states, cancels all meal debt, standing debt for simply just eating during their school day. That it's a phrase, again, that just shouldn't exist. We're working about young kids who are in debt because they couldn't afford lunch and become their debt being humiliated or used as if school is already difficult enough for bullying and other harassing, to now if you're called out for not being able to afford your own lunch. In some cases, judges legitimately. Here's the bottom line today and coming that are going to speak about all that. Member Braun, right next for his remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you to the witnesses for joining us today for this food assistance programs. In my home state, school nutrition programs. These schools serve over 50 million breakfasts and 118 million lunches to students every year in Indiana, providing our youth with access possible. We're going to hear from witnesses today that will speak to the importance of flexibility and the importance of using domestic foods in these programs. We will hear state departments of agriculture, a nonpartisan nonprofit association that represents the elected and appointed agricultural officials of be interesting to hear that. We will also hear an agriculture and food industry expert who's worked to ensure that we are sourcing the healthiest and safest foods for Americans. It's important that we prioritize the flexibility of these programs for states and local administrations. They are the ones who know best what is going to work for students, the farmers that produce it, and in their communities. Last year, I introduced the American Food for American Schools Act with Senator Brown, B-R-O-W-N, to better prioritize and support the use of American food in school meal programs. The bill ensures that American-made being served in all school meal programs while still providing school food flexibility if domestic products are not available. Parents are the primary stakeholder in their children's education, and that should include what they consume at school. That's why this bill also requires schools to notify parents when American food's not being used. The bill was out for Mendy and LaMalfa, and I applaud them for their country. American-grown food is healthier and supports our own economy. The legislation is only part of this hearing, though. It's important that we listen to the people who interact with these programs daily to ensure school meal programs are working in the best interest of joining us today. This is from state, government, industry associations, advocacy, nutritionists, and academia that we need to hear from to keep students fed. Look forward to hearing your testimonies. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit to the record for unanimous consent a letter from Peter Finn, the Vice President of the Western Region of the Teamsters Food Processing Division, and his support.
Thank you, Senator Braun. And now we turn to our chairwoman. Chairwoman.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for chairing this subcommittee, Senator Fetterman. Which food at schools or some other service for children at school. I mean, this is an essential part of a quality school day. And thank you so much, and Senator Braun as well, and for all of your advocacy on connecting health with food as well. So I appreciate both of you very much. And I wanted to be here for a few minutes today to thank all of you because this is important. The USDA recently released, as you know, a report 2000. And unfortunately, it should have been titled Food Insecurity, not Food Security, because it found that food insecurity increased for the second year in a row, and 47.4 million people live in food insecurity in America as of 2023. Greatest country in the world, 47.4 million people. Alarmingly, the rate of food insecurity, food insecure households, 13 children in America. These are households that were unable to provide adequate food for their children, or in some cases, not just skipping a meal, but skipping the whole day. This is unacceptable in America. Food insecurity rates held steady, as we know, in 2020 and 2021, which is a direct result of Congress investing in nutrition programs, like increasing the SNAP benefit, like providing free meals. Agrees on that food prices are high, so we should continued investments. 8 states, like my home state of Michigan, have taken the lead, including this as part of the saving time in the morning. And most importantly, save the health, yes. USDA, all food and workers in Michigan as well. Incorporating nutritious education into lesson plans so that kids know. And we know that hunger, Bozeman and I established with everyone's support the summer program, a grocery benefit, so families can buy food over the summer. Summer EB, 1 million children this summer. Delivery options for rural communities like meal delivery, grab and go, backpack program where they live. So I would encourage all states to participate in these options. There shouldn't be any state in this country that is not participating in that. Access healthy meals all year round and reach their fullest potential. As Congress works, it's critical we reaffirm our commitment to families, to our farmers, and our rural communities. We need a farm bill that protects critical food assistance for families while also providing the support our farmers need to thrive at the end of the year that does that. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and appreciate being able to be here, and appreciate so much all your great work.
Thank you for that, for your 2 years, for the work that you've done. Thank you. And now, thankfully, we have a great panel. 5 witnesses. 4 of them are from Pennsylvania. No, we just got lucky. I mean, yeah, but Senator Braun and I will introduce our 5 witnesses, their testimony. First one is Ms. Crystal FitzSimons, and she is the interim president. Is Ms. Evora, and finally it's Dr. Meg Bruning, and the professor and head of Department of Nutritional Sciences at Penn State. And now I turn to Senator Brown to recognize your introductions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my privilege to introduce the Honorable Secretary Russell Redding. My privilege to introduce Mrs. K. Swartz Rentzel. She serves as the Executive Director for several agricultural and food processing industry associations, works directly with the National Peach Council, U.S. Sweet Potato Council, American Sweet Potato Marketing Institute, Southeastern Food Processors Association, and the National Clean Plant Network for Sweet Potatoes. I think you like sweet potatoes. She is a native of Pennsylvania and earned her Bachelor of Science in Family and Consumer Sciences from Messiah College. Welcome your expertise as well. Yield back.
Ms. FitzSimons, I recognize you for your 5 minutes.
Great, thank you. Chairman Fetterman, Ranking Member Braun, Chairwoman Stabenow, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony on the school nutrition programs. I'm Crystal FitzSimons, Interim President for the Food Research and Action Center. We are the leading organization working to end poverty-related hunger in the United States by advancing bold and equitable policy solutions. I am proud to have worked at FRAC for over 25 years, most of that time focused on the child nutrition programs. FRAC has worked for over 50 years to strengthen and expand the school breakfast and national school lunch programs because we know they play a critical role in reducing childhood hunger, supporting education, and connecting students to quality food from our agriculture community. An extensive body of research highlights the positive impact school meals have on student achievement, attendance, behavior, physical and mental health, and food security. That children eat, and the updated nutrition standards will further improve the nutritional quality. USDA has taken a thoughtful approach to gradually implement the new standards. Over the last 10 years, a growing number of high-need schools have been able to offer meals at no charge to all their students through the community eligibility provision. CEP was implemented nationwide during the 2014-2015 school year. Participation has grown year after year as schools saw the benefits: more students eating school meals, less administrative work, no more unpaid school meal fees, reduced stigma, and improvements to the school environment. Then the pandemic hit. A key component of our country's response was allowing all schools to offer meals to all students at no charge. This served as a pilot for a nationwide Healthy School Meals for All policy. It was a tremendous success. As Senator Stabenow mentioned, several states did not want to go back to pre-pandemic school meal operations. To date, California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, New Mexico, and Vermont have all passed Healthy School Meals for All policies. While those 8 states are showing us what is possible, there are critical steps the subcommittee and Congress should take to enhance the reach and impact of school meals nationwide. First, Congress can ensure that all children nationwide are hunger-free and ready to learn while they are at school by allowing all schools to offer meals to all their students at no charge. The Universal School Meals Program Act creates that path. Second, it's important to address barriers that keep students from participating, particularly in the school breakfast program, which serves only half of the children who participate in school lunch. Offering breakfast at no charge to all students, as Pennsylvania does, and implementing an innovative service model such as breakfast in the classroom has been shown to dramatically increase participation. Congress can provide grants or additional reimbursements to support innovative school breakfast models. A less direct path forward is to bolster CEP, so more schools can offer free meals to all their students. CEP eliminates school meal applications. Instead, the percentage of identified students is multiplied by 1.6 to determine the federal reimbursements that schools receive. These identified students are categorically eligible for free school meals because they participate in certain means-tested federal programs such as SNAP, or they are homeless, runaway, migrant, in foster care, or in Head Start, and automatically certified for free school meals outside of the school meal application process. Increasing the multiplier to 2.5 would allow more schools to operate CEP without fear of losing money. Another important step is to allow a statewide CEP option. Senators Casey and Fetterman's School Hunger Elimination Act would do both. Maintaining the eligibility threshold at 25% of identified students through statute is another important step, and Senator Fetterman's Nutrition Red Tape Reduction Act does just that. Finally, as long as children are being certified for free or reduced price school meals, Congress should do more to ensure that children who are categorically eligible for free school meals are certified to receive them. For example, states and school districts are only required to conduct direct certification for children in SNAP households, but should be required to automatically certify children whose households participate in TANF, as well as children who are homeless, runaway, migrant, or in foster care or Head Start. In addition, more federal means-tested programs such as Medicaid and SSI should be used for direct certification. This would ensure that our most vulnerable children do not fall through the cracks, reduce the burden of school meal applications, and improve program integrity. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify. I welcome your questions.
Thank you. And now we turn to Secretary Redding.
Madam Chairwoman, thank you, and Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Braun, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm honored to be both the Secretary of Agriculture and representing NASDA. And Senator, as you note, certainly NASDA is a nonpartisan, nonprofit association representing all of the elected and appointed secretaries, directors, commissioners across Pennsylvania, across the U.S. And so honored to be here. We have in Pennsylvania a sister agency, the Department of Education, that administers a national school lunch program, delivering meals to over 1 million students every day and across 800 schools and child care institutions. Our department collaborates across the state government as well with the private sector to ensure equitable access to affordable food and to promote opportunities for Pennsylvania farms and agribusinesses. So I want to thank you on behalf of NASDA for this opportunity. You have my written testimony. I'll offer a few comments and perspective. We believe at the intersection of agriculture and food lies bipartisan potential. By strengthening local and regional food systems, we can enhance supply chain resiliency and support nutrition security across the country. We appreciate the thought and care that the USDA has put into the final rule on child nutrition programs and the balance between providing food that the children enjoy eating while also acknowledging the role that the food meals must play in providing balanced nutrition. NASDA applauds the update to the recent USDA rule emphasizing local sourcing as well as the Buy American provision to boost demand for regional foods and advocates for its effective and tangible implementation to ensure success. USDA's food nutrition programs play a vital role in stabilizing agricultural markets and creating new opportunities for farmers and especially small and mid-sized producers. We have seen this in Pennsylvania, where we rank third nationally in the USDA commodity purchases for programs like National School Lunch, with over 192 million pounds of food valued at $276 million last year. These products are both good nutrition and good for the economy. Top categories for us are the proteins and certainly directly benefiting our Pennsylvania producers as well. But U.S. agriculture offers a really diverse range of 200 specialty crops showcasing an abundance of opportunities to integrate more domestically grown foods in our meals. States have a role and the ability to establish programs that meet their individual needs. Speaking only on behalf of Pennsylvania for a moment, our state has created a universal free school breakfast program that has resulted in a 23% growth in participation in kids accessing free school breakfast. In addition, our state launched a successful Farm to School grant program in 2019 as a funding vehicle for school districts to increase their local food procurement and make it easier to source and serve products and farms in their communities. And to date, we've funded 280 different projects. Programs such as USDA's Local Food Purchase Assistant, the LFPA, as well as the Local Foods for Schools, LFS, have been instrumental in linking schools with regionally grown foods. And these programs not only provide market access for farmers, but also offer flexibility for states to address the regional needs. For example, Pennsylvania and other mid-Atlantic states have been facing a surplus of apples in recent years, and the LFPA and the LFS have helped manage these surpluses, reducing food waste while supporting local agriculture. And we certainly encourage USDA to continue offering and expanding tools like these to further strengthen the connection between schools and our food system. In addition, Pennsylvania is administering the Resilient Food Systems Infrastructure Grant Program on behalf of USDA, and we have found that that program is critical. We're oversubscribed by probably tenfold the amount that we have. It's $27 million, significant. The key to that is the infrastructure and the improvements that build the capacity for local food systems, so that is important. And lastly, NASDA strongly supports USDA farm-to-school grants as well, and increasing local food use and improving access in those schools. This would certainly in help improve the purchasing power of our schools and the local economies and our farms as well. So with that, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity. We look forward to the conversation today and appreciate your support of agriculture and food system.
And now, thank you. And now, Ms. Taylor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Fetterman, Ranking Member Braun, and members of the subcommittee. I'm Yvonne Taylor, Director of Food and Nutrition for Chichester School District in Pennsylvania. I'm also the Public Policy Chair for School Nutrition Association, or SNA. Thank you for this opportunity to share my insight on the community eligibility provision and the benefits of offering free school meals to all students. Chichester District serves just over 3,000 students, many from hardworking families that struggle to put food on the table. Our food and nutrition team takes pride in supporting student success by offering delicious, nutritious school meals. In 2021, our district enrolled in the Federal Community Eligibility Provision, or CEP, allowing students to benefit from free school meals without having to complete the cumbersome free and reduced meal price application. Some families were either ashamed or hesitant to submit this form, and as a result, children in need were going without healthy school meals. Now, families don't have to worry about paperwork or accruing unpaid meal debt if they can't afford school meals. In the 3 years before we implemented CEP, our meal debt nearly doubled from about $8,000 to $15,000. And under CEP, we no longer accrue meal debt, and our district no longer has to cover the debt using general funds. More importantly, no child goes hungry. And let's be clear, we can't function if we don't eat. If a child is hungry, his upcoming math test is not going to be on his mind. CEP has created equity in our cafeterias and eliminated the stigma associated with school meals. In fact, during a recent forum in our community, one Chichester student said that the thing she loves the most about her high school is that no student has to pay for a meal. Since we implemented CEP, we haven't wasted countless hours collecting, processing, verifying application forms. We focus on serving our students, improving our menus, and offering more scratch-prepared entrees. Since we don't have to collect payment, children speed through the line and have more time to eat. With free meal service, more Chichester students are choosing school meals, which is great news since research shows school meals are the healthiest meals Americans eat today. We encourage our students to eat all the produce, whole grains, and low-fat milk we offer. We've implemented the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program to nudge picky eaters to give these healthy foods a try. And thanks to a Pennsylvania Farm-to-School grant, we have 4 terraponic gardens in our cafeterias. Students assist in planting and harvesting and enjoy eating Easter egg radishes and Sakura cherry tomatoes. To make our nutritious meals more appealing, we've introduced scratch cooking in all of our schools last year. Our cheddar chicken and broccoli casserole is one of our students' favorites, and we also offer ethnic menu options like Asian noodle bowls, jollof rice, and Indian tacos to cater to a diverse student taste. None of these positive changes for our students come easy. A recent SNA survey revealed virtually all school meal programs are struggling with rising costs. And last year, our program saw a 37% increase in repair costs alone. I join my colleagues nationwide in urging Congress to increase reimbursement rates for school meals to help us manage high cost. We also need additional funds to boost wages to attract new employees and provide culinary training. I currently have 18 staff vacancies for a team of 33. We don't have an HR team, a procurement specialist, or a menu planner. It is me and my assistant managing everything, but often I am the backup cook when staff is out sick. Minimizing paperwork through programs like CEP is critical for understaffed school meal programs, especially as we work toward new long-term nutrition standards. In closing, I appreciate the subcommittee's support for our effort to ensure students are nourished and ready to learn. I thank Chairman Fetterman for introducing legislation to expand CEP and supporting Universal School Meals Program Act. And I urge members to support these bills and boost funding for school meal programs. Thank you.
And I thank you. And now Mrs. Rentzel.
Good afternoon, Chairman Fetterman, Ranking Member Braun, and esteemed members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity today to speak to you about the importance of the National School Lunch and School Breakfast programs. They serve as foundational pillars of health, well-being, and education in millions of American students. As you've heard, I've had a career in specialty crops, which extends well beyond those that you previously listed, but certainly it's a pleasure to work in the industry. The federal school lunch and breakfast programs are crucial to ensuring that our children, many of whom come from food-insecure households, have access to the nutrition that they need to focus, learn, and grow. But these programs go well beyond simply feeding the students. They instill lifelong habits of eating, support local economies, and ensure that nutrition is equitable across all socioeconomic lines. Americans fall far short of meeting the recommended intake of fruit and vegetables. All federal feeding programs should promote greater consumption of these important foods. Federal programs intended to increase produce consumption should focus on all forms, not just fresh, but also include frozen, diced, and canned. This will help the consumer, including our students, meet those requirements that they are so deficient in of the USDA guidelines for Americans on fruit and vegetables. Students interact with these programs not only receive a meal, but they are learning about food systems, agriculture, and nutrition. It is essential that children understand where their food comes from. Through American innovation, domestic growers and manufacturers have made nutritious food, such as canned and frozen foods, available all year long. These products are picked at their peak ripeness and processed within hours, locking in nutritional value. Here's an example. Typical green bean is harvested at the peak of ripeness, transported to the processing facility that is within 90 miles of the farms, blanched and canned, all within 5 hours. This process ensures freshness and safety without the risk of any spoilage or foodborne illnesses that may occur with improperly handled fresh produce. Whenever possible, though, we should prioritize purchasing the safest and most nutritious foods options for our students. American-grown fruits and vegetables in all forms are an excellent solution. While preferential fresh produce programs may be an aspirational policy proposal, the reality is that the American school year does not align with the growing season. It's equally important to educate students on the remarkable domestic food manufacturing sector, which forms the backbone of our agricultural economy, and emphasize the importance of consuming fruits and vegetables, whether they're fresh, frozen, or canned. It's undeniable that the programs favoring fresh only options actually harm many farmers and inadvertently incentivize, if not subsidize, foreign food imports. This dynamic is one of the key factors behind the United States becoming a net food importer in 2023, one of the first times in our history. We will not solve the problems facing our trade inequities in agriculture, but there is one piece of legislation I would like to highlight that will address some of these critical problems, and that is the American Food for American School Act, which is a bipartisan, bicameral piece of legislation that strengthens the Buy American provision of the National School Lunch Program. It ensures fruits, vegetables, and all food products served to our children are domestically sourced. It not only supports American farmers and manufacturers, but it guarantees that our students consume the highest standards of safety and quality in the food that they eat. The bipartisan bill offers a robust solution to establishing clear, enforceable guidelines of the National School Lunch Buy American mandate and would subject it to across all of the USDA feeding programs, such as the snack program, the summer food service program, and others, that it be Buy American. I stand with the farmers, the food manufacturers, the labor unions like the Teamsters who support this bill, and I thank Senator Braun and Senator Brown for their leadership in this critical issue. Strengthening the Buy American provision ensures that the children eat not only safe and nutritious food, but it supports the backbone of American agriculture. In conclusion, there is no safer source of quality nutrition than that produced right here in America. By buying American food for American schools, we are not only supporting our children, but also safeguarding the livelihoods of the families who grow, harvest, and process our food. Strengthening these programs and reinforcing Buy American requirements mean everybody wins. The students, our communities, and our agricultural families who work tirelessly to feed all of us. Thank you again, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you. And Dr. Bruning.
Thank you, Chairman Fetterman, Ranking Member Braun, and members of the subcommittee for this opportunity and honor to speak with you today. My name is Dr. Meg Bruning, and in my day job, I'm a professor, registered dietitian, and department head of the Department of Nutritional Sciences at Penn State. My research focuses on food and nutrition security for underserved youth and families, and much of my work is done in schools. I've lived and conducted school nutrition research in Pennsylvania, Minnesota, and Arizona. Today, I'm speaking as an individual citizen, and my comments are not representative of the viewpoints of Penn State, nor any current or past funding agencies who have provided funding for my research. As we've heard today, the school meal programs in the U.S. provide a critical safety net for almost 30 million children with meals each year. That's 60% of our children in America. School meal programs are aligned closely with the Dietary Guidelines for Americans, ensuring a variety of healthy foods are offered to children while at school, where children spend most of their waking and eating hours. As I'm sure you're aware, as members of the subcommittee, very few children meet dietary recommendations. In fact, only 1 out of 10 children meet recommendations for the intake of fruits and vegetables. Consumption of fruits and vegetables, foods with important nutrients needed for physical and emotional growth and well-being, decrease as children age. By the time kids are in middle and high school, up to 43% of them report not consuming a single fruit or vegetable in a given day, resulting in the loss of consumption of critical nutrition. School meals help to buffer the tendency of low fruit and vegetable consumption, and school meals are consistently linked to improved dietary patterns for kids, especially since 2012. In addition, school meals are important in fending off food insecurity for our most vulnerable children. School meals ensure that our kids get the right amount of the right types of food for their growth and development during the school day. Research shows us that food and nutrition security, including consuming healthy dietary patterns and diets rich in fruits and vegetables, is linked with student outcomes and student cognition. For example, studies have found that school lunch quality and universal school meals have been associated with increased student test scores and academic outcomes in multiple states, including South Carolina, California, and New York. The research on linking student attendance and more long-term outcomes is needed. So much of this research is focused on elementary students. Brains and bodies continue to grow and develop into their early 20s. Much more research is needed for students of all ages to help their growth and development. We need to continue to test ways to get healthier foods on trays in school meals to promote student well-being. Some tools school nutrition researchers have tested with success include salad bars and the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, otherwise known as FFVP, With my research partner at Arizona State University, Dr. Mark Adams, we conducted the first randomized control trial testing how effective salad bars were at increasing fruits and vegetables. We conducted this research with almost 10,000 children across 37 schools in Arizona. When extrapolated across a week, we found that school salad bars effectively increased the consumption of fruits and vegetables by 1.5 servings. Consistently, our research shows, in this study and others, that kids are more likely to consume foods if they're on their trays. If the foods don't make it to the tray, there is a 0% chance of consumption. School meals help expose children to healthy foods through their offerings and promote consumption through selection. FFVP is available to low-income elementary schools to expose children to various fresh fruits and vegetables via nutrition education and taste testing. Importantly, this program is often linked to farm-to-school initiatives, helping to bring in local produce from local farms, and is often expanded into the lunch program, expanding the economic impact of local foods for local farmers. These programs have also been shown to increase the consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables for students. This research even shows that consumption increases at home as well. I want to end with data from my own research today. In addition to plate waste measures, we also collected data on the time it took individual students to eat and how that was related to their consumption. Students who took more time to eat at lunch consumed significantly more fruits and vegetables. Specifically, just 2 minutes a day resulted in an increase of 100 grams of fruits and vegetables. These findings indicate that if we can slow things down just a little bit at lunch, kids will consume healthy foods like fruits and vegetables. In sum, research shows that school meals are linked to cognition and academics. We know ways like salad bars and FFVP can be used to increase intake, yet so much more research is needed. People like myself are eager to help evaluate the best strategies to make the most of the federal dollars invested in school meals that support all kids. I can't leave today without acknowledging the heroic effort of school food service directors and school meal workers to feed our children. Thank you for your attention to these issues and opportunity to speak with you today. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you for all of you. And now we're moving into the part of questioning on that. And now I will begin with my own questions. And Ms. Taylor, students who participate in the USDA school meals program they can face stigma. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, yes.
And-
Which is one of the reasons why at Chichester we decided to take our district CEP because that created equity in our cafeterias, and now no student is ashamed to come in because everyone's on the same level. And they'll walk right in and receive a lunch at no cost or a breakfast meal at no cost.
I mean, have you even witnessed a child being teased or mocked for using those kinds of things?
In the past, we have seen students just opt to not come into the cafeteria for the fear of...
So they would rather choose to face the embarrassment, or they would actually go hungry?
Correct, yes.
That's crazy, and I can't even imagine that, to go hungry for the rest of the day just because you were embarrassed to actually just... to get lunch. I mean, that's sad and remarkable at the same time. And now, do you really, how can that CEP provision can reduce that stigma?
Absolutely, because now it doesn't matter if you have money or not, if your parents actually have money or the ability to pay for a meal, because every student receives that meal at no cost to them. So it helps to just even the playing field, and we offer different choices for them so they can come in and get any item that they would like that day.
Okay, so now, next question, and I'm just going to open that up to really anybody on the panel since we all have experts. When I was in third grade, 8 years old, I guess, that's probably 47 years ago, but one of the things I always remember that during lunch, and some days I would pack, and I have an Evel Knievel metal box, lunch box, maybe get a GN reference. But some days, if I'm buying it, if anyone remembers those very thick rubber kind of hub, wallets that you push together, and you have coins and stuff in there because you actually use coins to purchase lunch and drinks like that. But even then, nearly half a century ago, we were paying for our lunch back then, and that's one of the things I remember. And I feel like now we've normalized that paying for your lunch. But when I was 8 years old, nobody said, hey, pay for the bus that I get to school when I ran there. And I never had to pay for a clean bathroom, or I never pay for any of my books there. But I still remember paying for a lunch, and now students have, across this nation, and certainly in my state, they're paying for their lunch. And I personally, I think that's absurd. To anyone, I open it to the panel. Is that absurd, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I wanted to jump in on a couple of things, because you had asked about stigma. And I mean, we see that playing out in three ways, really. The first is there are definitely kids who opt out of the program and who go to the library during the lunch period or hang out in the bathroom. One superintendent even told FRAC that they had an open campus and he decided to go walk around the neighborhood because he didn't have anything to eat and he didn't want to go into the cafeteria. So every time I talk to people, people tell me those stories, and as kids get older, they're more likely to opt out of the program once they get to middle school and high school. I've had people tell me that once they hit middle school, they never participated in school lunch again because of the stigma that they felt in middle school. I had a parent tell me that they were glad my kid ate school lunch because their kid, who I knew was eligible, was more likely to participate because there were other kids who were eating it. I know parents don't fill out the school meal applications because they're embarrassed, and that can be even stronger in rural areas. A family member actually one time who was going through a really tough time, I was encouraging them to apply for free or reduced price school meals, and their response to me was, I don't want everyone in the school to know about it. And I said, well, of course they can't know about it. It's supposed to be confidential. They just laughed at me. So those are all the different ways that it can really play out in schools. And I mean, we can all remember what it was like to be a kid and how much social pressure there is. And kids shouldn't be pressured when they go into the school cafeteria. They should be able to access the food that they need to learn and thrive.
And also, I'm going to give myself an extra 30 cents because I want to have at least one more member of the camp. Like, is it absurd that a child or the family has to pay for lunch? Anyone? Anyone more?
I'll jump in on behalf of Pennsylvania, not NASDA, just to say, and this is the recent experience that I noted in my opening statement about the this is the second year with a universal school breakfast, and to see a 23% increase in participation, to see the issue of stigma being addressed directly. It simply removes that as the barrier. So from a state standpoint, we have seen tremendous benefit of having universal access and universal breakfast and lunch. So, Senator, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think that's the value of making sure that folks see both the need for and the opportunity that exists, certainly from a ag standpoint. Let's talk about farm products and agricultural products being part of this universal systems. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, that's a big issue. Also would be the supply chain, making sure we keep our own food system there healthy. I'd like to start with you, Secretary Redding. Has our own source of supply atrophied over time, and what is the current picture out there in terms of how much we source domestically versus elsewhere into school food programs?
Yeah, Senator, I'm not sure I can tell you the global percentage balance. Maybe other panelists or witnesses can do that. I think in just looking at it with the final rule, there's been some cap of about, not cap, about 8.5% of in 2017-18 data that was non-domestic use in the school lunch program.
What, 17 to 8%? 18?
2017 to 18, about 8.5%, 8.5%.
Okay.
Right? So not a big number, but I don't know, again, whether that's reflective at large. So the interest we have, and I think to your point, that when you have the Buy American provisions, it's an expectation that you will have an opportunity at the farm level and the business level to benefit from, these feeding and nutrition programs locally. And that local definition and local preference is certainly critical to, I think, the success of both the farm community. We hear that as themes of in the Farm Bill, but we also see it as a central provision of the food nutrition programs from the USDA.
So that's actually a little lower percentage than what I thought, unless the trend is moving quickly the other way. Mrs. Rentzel, what about the whole idea of wholesome, nutritious? Seems like if you would be accessing food in other places, it wouldn't possibly have the chance to be as fresh with the perishability of it. What is your opinion there? And the idea that you would try to really encourage all food to be American grown?
Senator, I would say that American farmers are incredibly proud of the quality, the nutrition, and the food products that they put on all of our plates. And for them to be able to do so and have it there literally within hours, I'm aware of a number of farming operations, some that are fresh suppliers, some that are canned suppliers, that are able to deliver foods to their local school districts, some within 12 hours of harvesting. Obviously, if there's a process involved and it needs to come from a little further away, it may be a day and a half. But that food that they produce is the safest in the world. We have the most stringent regulations when it comes to production and processing, and to be able to say that imported foods that might be underpriced are able to be a part of this program, but not maintain the quality that we expect of our own American growers, it would be a slap in the face to them, and it is really, really devastating to them as producers. They need that balance of the local market and the support of the schools as well.
That logistics of being just basically a few hours from farm to table is impressive. And currently, what would you say that percentage is in terms of breakdown between fresh produce and processed in school lunches?
I'm not sure I know that information. I'd be happy to look into it, but I can tell you that every farmer out there relies on a balance between fresh and processed. If one market is strong, they will move the majority of their crop that direction. If it's a strong processing year and they need to move product over there, they have to have a market to do that, and that includes not only a processor that will handle it, but also a marketplace that will buy the finished goods as well. And those products are equally nutritious. I believe in the written statement, you'll see a lot of nutritional comparisons, and you'll find that canned, fresh, and frozen all are of equal value when it comes nutritionally.
Thank you. Senator Booker, are you ready to go?
Roaring ready, sir.
As normal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I want to thank our witnesses for being here. I have really been in this space working really hard, and I think it is more of a crisis than most Americans can even begin to realize. And one of the challenges is not just making food available, but making sure it's quality, healthy food that's not making our children sick. Right now, obesity rates in our country have been continuing to skyrocket, and it's growing. Right now, about a quarter of our kids of our teenagers are pre-diabetic or have type 2 diabetes. That's stunning, not to mention the obesity rate. You hear it from our national defense saying that right now very few of our young people are even qualified due to physical challenges with being qualified for a military draft. And much of that can be attributed to the fact that we are seeing this overwhelming amount of ultra-processed foods into our children's diet. They compose right now about 2/3 of our kids' diets are ultra-processed foods. 2/3 of the calories that our children and teens eat. And the ingredients are, I say, toxic. They have artificial food dyes in them that have shown evidence of disrupting the body and being linked to hyperactivity and worse. Not to mention the presence of heavy metals and other environmental toxins in our foods, which we know have impacts on children's very brain development. This is a crisis. School meals are one of the key ways, though, we can fight back and make sure that kids are getting the safest, most nutritious meals possible. And that's why I'm introducing today the Safe School Meals Act. This bill would set limits on heavy metals in school meals, reassess dangerous food additives like artificial dyes, ban certain pesticide residues, and ban PFAS in school packaging. And so I think that we have to move with urgency. And the great thing about it, these issues, when you talk about them, have such bipartisan support out there in America. In Washington, we need to get that done. And so I just want to know, even just getting school meals in alignment with the dietary guidelines would be a huge thing. And Dr. Bruning, what effect would doing that have on children's health, just doing that?
The question is, what effect would aligning with the dietary guidelines?
Yes.
I mean, we would expect children to be healthier. 30 million children are touched by school meals, and so we would expect them to.
No, thank you. It's a no-brainer. That was just like, Corey, brilliant. Thank you very much. It is so important, and yet here we have just some common sense things, though, that also I think steps we should take that have bipartisan support. And that is finding alternatives to dairy. We know that 75% of Black students, 90% of Asian students, 60% of Latino citizens, and 95% of Native American students are lactose intolerant. And meaning that they just are unable to digest this milk without having really detrimental effects. Dairy milk, though, is the only option unless they have a medical waiver. Imagine that, having to get a medical waiver. And so I want to thank the chair, Fetterman, for his leadership, again, on a bipartisan Add Soy Act, which would give students the option to choose nutritionally equivalent plant-based milks that do not make them literally sick. And so I just want to ask again, Dr. Bruning, I don't mean to pick on you. If we gave students that choice to easily select nutritionally equivalent plant-based milk, what effect would that have on the kids' health?
I should disclose that we were recently funded by the National Dairy Council to look at the link of milk and fruit and vegetable consumption. We haven't yet looked at those data yet. Dairy milk does provide 13 important nutrients, and schools can provide lactose-reduced milk for kids who have lactose intolerance. Plant-based milks aren't there quite yet with nutrition, but some are getting there. At the same time, I think we saw with when culturally appropriate milks were introduced in WIC, it was successful. Choice is really important in developing kids' habits and dietary patterns, and some nutrients are better than no nutrients. So ultimately, I think flexibility as kids participate in the NSLP and having better diet quality than when they don't. So flexibility and milk choice can help with that.
I love that. Choice, flexibility, and not giving kids the only option for things that make them sick. We are in agreement. You didn't say that I was brilliant, but that's okay. I'll give you one last question, one last chance to compliment the bald people on this dais. We have fragile egos. We need some affirmation. I speak for myself, not for the senator from Georgia. Okay. What would you like to see if Congress was to expand programs like the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, which is an amazing program, which would provide low-income elementary students fresh fruit and vegetable snacks. What impact do you think that would have if Congress did that? What impact would it have on elementary schools and middle schools if they were all eligible to participate?
So in our school salad bar study, we saw impacts in middle and high schools as well. And as I reported in my testimony, we saw increases of fruit and vegetable intake at home for kids who who participated in the FFVP program. So I would expect those impacts to be extended to those additional schools and additional students.
So just, again, common sense. Align with the dairy guidelines, give people options and choice, and then finally, again, expand programs that we already know are working. Thank you very much. Mr. Ranking Member, Senator, thank you very much, sir.
Good job. You only ran 1 minute over. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Senator Warnock, you're up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been working to tackle the persistent issue of child hunger since well before I was elected to the United States Senate, something that I've addressed a number of times from my pulpit and in cities and towns all across Georgia. It's unconscionable that with all the resources we have in the United States of America, 13.8 million children are food insecure. That's 1 in every 5 children, unsure of where they will get their next meal. And child hunger is worse in the summer months because children lose access to regular school meals. Ms. FitzSimons, even with USDA's summer food service programs, about how many children fall into this summer meal gap?
Yeah, so only one child who participates in the National School Lunch Program during the school year and gets free and reduced price school meals actually has access to a summer meal, 1 in 7.
1 in 7. Now, Congress has actually come up with a solution to fill in this gap. It's called sunbucks. Sunbucks. How does sunbucks work? Can you explain it? And how many states so far have opted in? You have to opt in, correct?
Absolutely. So Sunbucks is an amazing new program. It's modeled after the summer EBT program that had been piloted for years, and it's been shown to reduce hunger and improve nutrition. It basically provides an EBT card with $120 on it for grocery benefits so that families are able, it helps replace the lost school meals during the summer.
Right. So the kids aren't in school through sunbucks. Even though they're not in school, they get access to the nutrition. The
Right.
need for that nutrition doesn't stop in June or July or August, correct?
Right, and 37 states have adopted it, so we have 13 states who haven't. The District of Columbia has adopted it, all territories, and 2 tribal nations.
Right. So 37 states have adopted it, so I assume these aren't all blue states.
Absolutely
These are
not.
states across the political spectrum, correct?
Yep,
But unfortunately, my home state, the state of Georgia, has not opted in to sunbucks, with some officials saying it does not result in higher nutritional outcomes for students, and that existing programs are, quote, effective. I heard our state leadership say we don't need it. I'm still trying to figure out who this we is. For whom are you speaking when you say we don't need it? Ms. FitzSimons, when school was out this summer, were there children in Georgia who didn't know where their next meal would come from?
absolutely.
Are extreme hunger and food insecurity good for kids' nutritional outcomes? Does it help with learning?
No, they are very bad. Kids who are food insecure don't do as well in school, are more likely to be sick. There's lots of problems related to food insecurity, that's for sure.
Makes them vulnerable in a whole lot of ways, I would imagine.
Yes.
What are the outcomes for students who have participated in sunbucks?
So we have evaluations of the summer EBT demonstration projects, and they show that food insecurity goes down and nutrition goes up. So it's a really important complement to the summer nutrition programs that provide meals to kids.
Sounds like a good program. I hope we can bring it to Georgia.
Me too.
Keeping hungry kids, it seems to me, should not be partisan. It's not partisan. 37 states have opted in. And so this should be a shared goal of all elected officials because it is the moral responsibility of any functioning society, especially a wealthy one, the wealthiest nation on the planet and in human history.
So if I could add, I mean, I think particularly in a hunger action month, which we are in now, this reminder of, the 13.8 million is almost the entire population of Pennsylvania. Right? So just for perspective.
Sure.
We are a Sunbucks participant, seen the success of that, but we also know the economic benefits of local food systems.
Yeah.
And I would just sort of say that whether you're in the National School Lunch or breakfast or the farmer's market nutrition or SNAP, all of that also provides an economic opportunity for the farms, right? There's a co-equal goal.
For farms, that's correct.
Farms and businesses. So
Right.
I think there's a co-equal goal where you're really honoring the need and recognition of food and nutrition.
Sure.
At the same time, you're trying to pull that from the local. I think the Buy American provision, the Senator noted, is absolutely, these things go together. In to recognize.
As a
both
member of
these.
the Ag Committee, I support that. This is a win-win-win for farmers and for children and families. I could ask another question, but I just want the record to show that Cory Booker is a lawyer by training. I'm a Baptist preacher by training. He went a minute over. You can get the rest of your time back, Mr. Chairman.
Duly noted. So Senator Fetterman is voting, and I'll have to do that soon, but I do have a question for Ms. Taylor. I'm a big believer that parents should be the main stakeholder in their own kids' education, and I'm curious to see if they're getting more interested in their kids' nutrition, because both, I think, would be fair game, what you're taught and then what you eat. What do you see there? Are parents more interested and concerned now than which way is it going?
Oh, absolutely, and we kind of help push that as well. In the past, I feel food service departments have usually kind of hid behind the rest of the school and just did our jobs in silence, but I'm kind of like Mr. Booker. I'm not very quiet, and I make a lot of noise, so I ensure that they know that we're there, and we've created programs to help them. So our K through second, we've partnered up with the SNAP Ed program. We do kids cooking classes online. Everything is free to our students. We drop the food off to them, we get online, we teach them a little education. And it's not just our students learning, but it's their parents as well. So that's really awesome to see the parents in the background cooking with their students and coming back to me and saying, what can they do at home? We also do our garden programs, so we'll have parents volunteer to help with our gardens any way that they can to help get involved. And some of them have actually volunteered in the kitchens just to kind of see what goes on in the background, and they're really surprised at all the work that we put in to produce these quality meals for our students. So I am seeing students or parents being more involved in their nutrition, in their day-to-day nutrition.
Well, thank you very much. I've got to go vote, and I'm going to tap this into a brief recess until the chair gets back. He should be back any moment. Other senators might come in to ask a few more questions as well. So stay put, and he'll be back briefly. Thank you.
Turning back in, and my friend from Indiana.
Thank you a bunch, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this really very important hearing. I want to thank all of you all for the hard work that you do, and I know it's really difficult. It has been difficult, and it's even more difficult now. But again, I know that you all work hard and try and do your best, and we appreciate your efforts. Secretary Redding, Ms. Taylor, last fall, USDA finalized a rule expanding access to universal free meals by lowering the threshold to qualify for the Community Eligibility Provision, or CEP. However, state and local educational agencies are still tasked with finding other funding sources to offset the cost if they choose to operate CEP. Can you speak to how this is penciling out at the state and local levels? Mr. Redding?
Yeah, Senator, thank you. We were had a little difficulty hearing the question, right? This was about the community eligibility.
Yeah, you want me to say it again?
Yeah, would you please?
I'll actually talk into the microphone this time. Okay, so last fall, USDA finalized a rule expanding access to universal free meals by lowering the threshold to qualify for the community eligibility provision. However, state and local education agencies are still tasked with finding other funding sources to offset the cost if they want to participate and operate it. Can you speak to how this is penciling out at the state and the local level?
Senator, I wish I could. I noted in the introduction that the program is ministered by the Department of Education in our state, and with that, the community eligibility provisions. And here representing, that was part one, and two with the NASDA, certainly recognize that there are different metrics and payment systems, but don't have a sort of a solid answer on the financial aspects of making up those differences, but maybe Ms. Taylor does.
Ms. Taylor?
Good afternoon, Senator. Unfortunately, I too don't have that information, but I will gladly reach out to some colleagues at the state level from the Department of Education in Pennsylvania and certainly get back to you with an answer on that.
If I may, I'd love to jump in on that question, Senator Bozeman. So you are absolutely right. At 25% identified students, it is really difficult for a school district to offer free meals to all of their students. And so what we've seen in a couple states is the states have actually covered the difference. So New York has done that, as well as Washington State, and there's some other states who are considering it. And then some school districts think that it's so important to offer free meals to all their students that they absorb those costs and just kind of eat it. But I will say increasing the multiplier, which is currently 1.6 to 2.5, would go a long way in supporting community eligibility schools and implementing it.
Okay, thank you very much. Secretary Redding, your testimony highlights the unique needs of rural school districts, as well as the importance of taking the lessons learned from the pandemic to inform policymaking. I've been really pleased to hear about the success of the rural non-congregate options this summer in ensuring more students receive nutritious food during the summer months. How have you seen this option make an impact for children in rural communities across Pennsylvania this summer?
Yeah, Senator, thank you for the question, and it's certainly, for all of the pain of the pandemic, we learned a lot, and I think the waiver pieces particularly, and flexibility and awareness, community-wide awareness of the need for access to food, whether that's in the breakfast or school lunch programs, and the charitable feeding program is certainly part of that. We've also recognized the benefits from an economic development standpoint, I'll say, just from connecting farms and the farm community into our feeding system has been one of those great benefits. The investments that were made in building capacity for food processing and local process, whether that be on the meat side or vegetables, has also been a part of that sort of significant change that I think is both captured in the continued work and some of the policy work. We hope those types of aspects are included in the Farm Bill and the recognition of the connectedness between our farms and food system, as well as our nutrition system as well. So many, many benefits.
Mm-hmm. Very good, thank you. One more? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, very much. Dr. Bruning, plate waste, I've had the opportunity to visit in the schools, and particularly during the pandemic and now after. I was on the school board for 7 years, so I really am familiar with the great work that they do. I think they're the unsung heroes in the school system and just do a tremendous job. But when I visit with them, plate waste is a serious problem. And we've updated the nutrition standards several times, but if the food ends up in the trash, you know, that's not helping anybody. Hopefully, we're in a better place for nutrition standards for a long time. How have you seen plate waste change over the last 15 years in light of the nutrition standards change?
I can share that in our studies, we do measure plate waste. And as I said earlier, if the food isn't on the tray, the kid's not going to eat it. So that's the first step. And I do think we could do more once it gets on the tray to encourage consumption. As I discussed, sort of slowing down the meals to allow kids to have more time to eat would help. I think plate waste is improving, and it's going in the right direction, but we can always do more.
So what is the average time that they give them to eat?
So in the 37 schools that we were in Arizona, it was a little over 20 minutes. Most kids take 10 of those 20 minutes to eat. And if they will take 12, they can have 100 more grams of fruits and vegetables by the end of the week.
Very good, that's interesting. Well, again, we appreciate all of you, appreciate your hard work, and look forward to working with you on the Farm Bill and all kinds of things. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Is that your meal there? Is that a snack or what?
Thank you. Well, I guess so now. No more questions and errors. So I have nothing left to do but other than to thank these experts for coming in. And for all of you that are from Pennsylvania, and if you are heading back later today, then count me jealous that I won't, but safe travels to everybody. And I really want to thank all of you for coming here and enlighten all of us throughout this, because I really do fundamentally think that it is so very critical. And now the record will remain open for 5 business days, and otherwise, this is now adjourned. Thank you again.